Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you for the introduction, Salim. I'm very excited to be here because this is quite experimental what we are doing here today. And I am part of this organization, which is UpSurgeOn. So I will start not from surgical points. I leave these details, important details, which are the topic, the principal topic, to the masters. I will just introduce you the philosophy behind what we are doing. And I think this is very important because, as Professor Abdul Rauf said, neurosurgery is not just practical surgery, but there is a huge universe behind. So I will explain you what we are doing. So today is a very unique day because we are going to fuse three technologies and which are quite new. The first one is this incredible robotic scope, which is a new way to observe anatomy, surgical anatomy. So it's quite inspiring because it's quite new. And obviously there is a learning curve. And this means that we need to train a new generation of people with a new technology. In this case, you know, surgery is very conservative. So microscope, exoscope, everything is very difficult to be introduced as a tradition, as a normal, let's say, practice. So this is quite new. The second one is BrainBox, is part of the work in UpSurgeOn. We do virtual reality, physical reality simulation, and then the third one is My Sebastian, which is the new way also in the way we spread information. So it's a learning platform. But it is not just this, because I think there is another important technology, and I think it's the center of everything, because all the rest has been designed to serve this new technology, which is you. You are the most important point of this experiment, because everything is designed to be new, but also new people will understand. You are the people of this generation, and you are the people which, more than any other in medicine, will understand the new things. Because, you know, as I said, we are conservative in neurosurgery, so everything new needs to be accepted. So it is a problem of cultural acceptance. So we will start this experiment, and I will move from this important concept for me. Essence and substance in neurosurgery. Be aware that the more you advance in your career, the more you will find people which will suggest you that neurosurgery is just about cutting, dissecting, the writing indication. This is absolutely important. This is the substance. But there is the essence, which is not this. And many times the definition of the essence of what you do is something personal. You decide which is your essence, your meaning. And I won't do any definition of this because it is quite personal. You know what is the concept of, I mean, when you start being very focused every day and you are stressed, at some point you lose yourself, you lose your motivation. You are absolutely focused on the substance of what you are doing, but you lost your essence. Probably in medicine, you may experiment this also before the graduation. This happens in neurosurgery many times. So this is important. Today, you need to experiment the new technologies, but first of all, you need to understand that the essence of what you do is something that you need to remind every day. So it's not just theory, and not just training. So what is UpSurgeOn? UpSurgeOn is a group of people like you, very young people. I'm not that young, but I mean, I am young inside. But there are very young people, artists, bioengineers. Today we have here Valentina and Marco, which represent these people, bioengineering and communication. So a very inspired team. Probably they are able today to do a class of neuroanatomy, probably after 2 years that we are working on these things. The first time we launched the TNS approach, we did the challenge, and Valentina won last the quickest resection of a pituitary tumor in this new game. So this is a group of people which is doing very interesting things. I don't want to enter in the detail of what we are doing. I want you to understand the philosophy behind. So to understand what we do, it is important to introduce you a concept that you know very well, the global surgery, which is a concept that we know very well in the literature. Many people talk about this. The problem is that global surgery is has many different aspects. In high-income countries, this problem is related with the need of something which create talent, which create abilities in less time with less cost of education. And this is our problem. We take 15 years to be autonomous in surgery because we need chances to practice, and we need to do what we do in any discipline. How many of you practice sport? Any sport? Okay. Music? Okay, so I suppose that you do exercise to do these things every day. You do your training, but we accept a very strange paradox. There's no training in a repetitive way on a daily basis or weekly basis in surgery. So surgery is all based on study on the books and practice on the real world. This is good, but you take 15 years to be autonomous. And at the end of your cycle, you won't be autonomous in everything. Something will be missing. So I will give you some number. The problem of global surgery is not just in our countries, but in low and middle income countries. There is a huge number of people which is dying because there's no safe surgery. And this is not a clear problem to us, but this is a problem. Imagine someone you love. So we understand this problem only when we experiment in our life. Imagine someone you love, imagine to experiment the frustration of not being able to help this person in case of an accident, a neurosurgical problem. And not because you are unlucky, because you are in a place where there's no education, there's no technology, and the same pathology in another place, no problem. This will be treated, but you are in the wrong place. So this is global surgery, and 2 million of people are dying each year for this problem. I give you another example, COVID. 4 million people died for COVID until now, and this is a pandemic. So there was another pandemic each year, and no one knew this, but this is quite interesting. So the meaning here, the message here, we understand the tragedy only when we experiment in our lives, okay? So let's talk about some number. I will be quick on this. 1 million is the cost of an average in a high-income country to train a talent like you. This is an average. There is a problem of unmet cases in low and middle income countries. This is a number, 5 million, which is not about neurosurgery, but also other disciplines. There are 23,000 neurosurgeons missing today. And most of all, in high income countries, 19% of claims come to us, okay? You probably will experiment this very, very soon. We are a niche, but 19% of claims related with errors, malpractice. So as Salim said, there's no, the error is not accepted, okay? There is another important point to focus on. So what are we doing today? We train in a random way. You enter the OR, you access the practice in a very random way. You look for chances. So every day you run around the world looking for something to do. We want to do a regular synthesis or a lumbar puncture. Yes, 20 people which want to start doing something. This happens also in the operatory room. You will be mastering craniotomies, but the dural opening from that point starts the no resident land for years. This is the limit of our education. Obviously, the risk is absolutely high. So this is quite understandable, but we need something else. So what we are trying to do in UpSurgeOn is to mix this practice with the simulation, which need to be affordable virtually and physically. Why virtually and physically? Because we are using virtual reality for the mental training, which is all related with 3D imagination, with the strategy, with the automatism of understanding the steps, and then the manual training, which is based on something concrete. So, wow, the amazing technologies give you haptic feedbacks, but you need to touch things. You need to experiment how difficult it is to reach the aneurysm. And you will experiment this in first person. This is absolutely difficult. So it is not just managing a robotoscope or a microscope, but it is about to manage soft tissues, the perspectives and the understanding where you are and what you do. Here, you won't kill anyone, okay? But if you do something wrong, you destroy brain, you create a bleeding. So this is very important. So what is learning? I will be very fast in this. This is my son is going downstairs in these days and now he's running. This slide is not very recent, though. This is not recent. Now is very difficult to maintain this in the same position. My baby in the same position for 1 minute. So, but by the way, at some point you see a child doing incredible things one day, from one day to another. And what is happening? He's creating connections. And the experience is the repetition. So the other example is that, what about me? I am a master in this. I can jump also 10 stairs. I don't know which will be the result, but I can do this. I have repetition. I did this many times. And am I better than my son by nature? Absolutely not. But I did this thousands of times. So this is a very basic concept. We need repetition to learn everything. So talent is not a gift, it's a result. So you need to exercise in some way every day. So the problem in neurosurgery is that we need for tools or technologies, because mental and manual skills which are required are not natural skills. So we need to find ways to enhance our abilities with exercises. But there's no an exercise in neurosurgery. You can do some exercise in some suturing, but it's not that. It's not only that. In a single procedure, you will find many challenges, and suturing is not just the end. You say, I can do the best suture ever, but the bypass is not just the suture, it's the preparation, the granulotomy, the positioning, the planning, the exposure, the arachnoid dissection, everything. So to be prepared in everything, you need to have many chances in different things. So the exercise can be 100 different exercises, or something which collect everything in one place and in one moment. So this is what we are doing in UpSurgeOn, is starting to create something for the daily exercise. We started monitoring the activities of surgeons. I was the first, but we created a community of neurosurgeons which helped us to monitor the mental and manual activations. So we did several experiments to understand what changes between a non-experienced person and a very experienced person. So we created something which is called Universal Psychomotor Skill Improvement Methodology. So this is a methodology that we are trying to apply to many other disciplines. So imagine, this is another important concept you know very well. Many do this example. Imagine being on a flight. Okay, you're very calm, you are absolutely relaxed. Why? Because you think and you take for granted that in the flight there is a pilot which is absolutely trained, simulation-based trained. So the simulation-based certification. So you imagine something like this: a nice guy, absolutely trained, no problem. Your life will be absolutely in the hands of these guys, but you do not even consider the risk, okay, that something can go wrong. But what if at some point someone says, good morning, today the weather is good, we will arrive in 2 hours. Today, the flight will be, the starting and the landing will be done by John, which is a very young guy, first experience. He's a good guy, he's a very good guy, but it's the first experience, and I will be here, no worries, but he will manage everything, and okay, and have a nice flight. Obviously, you start imagining something like this, obviously, because this is not accepted, this is not possible, and your reaction will be absolutely different. So this is a cultural paradox. Why? Because this is accepted everything when we enter in the OR as patients every day. We know that there is not only the boss, there is also one of us. I mean, a young guy, more or less experienced, which will do something, okay? When my child was born, I was there. And I was absolutely stressed about, okay, the situation. And the second stress was that the closure was done by a first-year resident. And I was there saying, no, I don't want to see what is happening. And it has been very great stress for me. Not for you, but because I have been a first-year resident too. No. So what we can do here, we are creating a new generation of people And the challenge, I see great masters are Professor Abdul Rauf, Professor Freischlag. What we are trying to do is to do something different. So to create a new generation of surgeons which train in a different way. And the goal is to reduce 15 years in 5 years. Obviously, do not think that you will finish your training will be infinite. But let's say that at the same point, 5 years, you will be more trained than other generations. And this is the challenge. This is a concept, an example. This is a craniotomy. This is a barrel, very simple, very easy. You will do this. Imagine to do a cadaver lab course. You do a cadaver lab course, you are two people with one head, you divide the head, you right, left, okay. So you help the other guy. Obviously, you are very careful with your side. No one needs to touch your side because that is your side. Okay, I will do my side. The problem is that you will do abdominal approach just once. Imagine to do a course where you can do this simple exercise 10, 15 times in the same time. So the exercise is repetition, as I said. So imagine to do basic error in something which is absolutely inexpensive comparatively to a cadaver. So this is the concept. This training and the new training we are trying to do is a training based on easy repetitions many times. You need to be aware that small errors cannot be done on a cadaver or on a real patient. Okay, so what happened in 2017? I found crazy guys like Valentina, Marco, but other people like Gian Antonio, like Paolo, which have been the first associate, the first guy which helped us in this project. And then we are a small team, 15 people, artists, bioengineers, expert in communications, modelers. Obviously, I will forget something. I want to show this video to give you the right mood of what UpSurgeon is, okay? And this video shows you exactly what we do every day. Probably there's no audio, but you will see something what we do. So we are mixing virtual reality and physical reality. And this is the stuff we do every day. So it's a lab where people try to experiment to find the right combination of materials with several techniques, which are molding, 3D printing, manufacturing. There are bioengineers and expert materials engineers. And the result is creating something which is on a daily basis validated by neurosurgeons. And this is the example of the aneurysm. So this is the reason I show this, because this is what we are going to use today. And the result is not just a model. Behind this model, there is a scientific methodology, and we reject many things. I am very hated in UpSurgeon. There are people that want to kill me because every day I reject things. This is not good. This is not correct. This color is not real color, etc. So, and there is an important detail. There is the beauty of neuroanatomy, which is something that you need to feel inside. So the beauty and the love for what we are doing. So this can be one of your meaning and one of the essence things. So we started in 2017, and I will finish. And we started with a grant with a lot of support from many institutions. And this is what we do every day. So we start from people from gaming, which start doing advanced 3D modeling. And then there are crazy people which transform this in something physical, something realistic. So it's virtual and physical all together. And obviously the result is something which can be also impressive. This is the TNS approach. It's just a cavity, it's just a nose, but the face wanted to be, we wanted to be realistic. Why? Because you need the emotional impact. If you touch a cadaver, you will be frozen in the first moments because it's so real, it's so impactful. And your performance will be affected by this. So the realism is not just for being realistic, it's to give you the right emotional impact, and you need to be trained also to that. Imagine the rupture on an aneurysm, 90% emotion, 10% skills. So you need to be trained to manage your emotions. So these are moments behind the scenes. These are very I wanted this. I mean, these are not professional videos. These are every day with our smartphone, what we see and what we do every day, because I wanted to give you the sense of the daily activity of what we do. So there are tables with pieces like this, and cadaver is not a cadaver, but this is what we are trying to do. And by the way, many times cadaver is not that realistic. Okay, so the goal is to replicate the life-like environment. Okay, so this is another example on how we mix physical and virtual. Physical alone is not enough. You need to train your mind in seeing something physical. So this is the example, something physical with something mixed. So the models and the structures which are not represented by the physical stuff. So this is another example. So who we are a scientific team made by neurosurgeons, most of all medical students. We have a lot of medical students in the team which are leading artists. So imagine you in a process like this. We have a methodology. These students are students like you. Obviously, they love neurosurgery and neuroanatomy, but these people is leading the development. And the development is made by the development team that I mentioned. So these are the guys. We have here a representation. So I wanted to show you their faces. So they are quite young. This is the last message. The introduction has been done by the brilliant Professor Abdul Rauf and Ibrahim, and they talked about democratization. At some point we said this is too important, but the real revolution is not just inventing something, but is creating the conditions to make these available everywhere. So something impressive, something disruptive is the seed of the revolution. The revolution is when you make these available. So the revolution has been not the car. The revolution has been Ford, which made the car for families. It's not computers with the IBM super huge computer. The revolution has been with Apple, with the personal small computers. So here is the same concept. So at some point we said, okay, let's do something like this. Let's put cadavers in a box. In this box, if you consider the disposable part, there are 20 cadavers in a small box. So at some point we put everything in a box and we shipped this everywhere in the world. And this is just an example. We are doing courses everywhere, but the most important point is that we are doing courses where no courses were done before, because the point is that we have a cadaver lab, but we need the cadaver, the wet lab. So we need the environment to manage a cadaver. And there are religions that forbid, obviously, to use the cadaver. So this is another limitation. So we started in April doing low and middle income countries courses, and we did 4 courses, and we are continuing with this project, which is supported by the World Federation of Neurosurgical Society and the another important institution. So this is Ethiopia. We did the same course in Ethiopia and in Mayo Clinic in Florida. And you can understand, very different environment, the same technology. So what is the message? It's not the boxes, not the cadaver-free training, it's not the aneurysm. These guys were in a community, okay? They were excluded, and at some point they were included in a community in a global project. The name of this project is the Global Training Project. So today, here in Innsbruck, you are doing a variant, an experimental version of the Global Training Project using even more technology. So you are very, you are very privileged today, okay? So we continue with this. This is Cameroon. We did the 5 courses in 4 days in Cameroon with 6 boxes. And the nice thing that these boxes come again, and we replace everything, we wash everything, and we ship the same simulator to other ones. So the same aneurysm, this aneurysm has been clipped in several places around the globe. So you will touch an aneurysm which has been clipped by people like you in other countries. And I'll finish with this. So this is the meaning for us. This is the essence for us. And I congratulate with you, because this society, the Dandy Society, the Abdul Rauf University, is something really disruptive, and you are part of this. So it is not just a name. It's thanks to you that everything is happening. And I thank you for being here today. Thank you.